Should you play the game Combat Master currently? That's the question I want to answer in today's video. Now, just so you're aware, I play the game on PC, so my opinions on the game are based on the PC version of the game. However, I do know the game is available on mobile devices as well, but seeing as I haven't played the mobile version of it, I don't know what the game is like on there. So be warned, the mobile version might be a completely different experience from the PC version. If you are watching this video and you play Combat Master on mobile, feel free to comment on this video what the experience is like on mobile and how it may differ from the experience on PC. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Also, for the people that don't even know what Combat Master is, I'll give a quick description of it. Pretty much, Combat Master is a knockoff version of Call of Duty that's free to play and cross-play between PC and mobile devices. In other words, it's an arcade-style first-person shooter game that shares a lot of similarities to Call of Duty. However, Combat Master is nowhere near as big as COD. So while it's fun to play and a good alternative to COD, I wouldn't say it's going to be the next big thing. Anyhow, with all of that being said, I want to break down what I think are a few good, alright, and bad things about Combat Master, just so you get an idea of what the game is like. Then I will answer the question, should you play this game? To start things off, the first thing that I think is good about Combat Master is the movement within the game. It's absolutely insane what you're able to do. You could air strafe, slide cancel, and even tap strafe. The movement is just super fast and feels really fluid if you're able to use it to your fullest advantage and learn how to master it. Plus, everything else feels really good, like the running, jumping, sliding, and just strafing in general. I highly recommend that you give this game a try if you enjoy using crazy movement techniques and like to win your gunfights by using movement to your advantage, as the movement can help you to dominate in this game once you learn it. Additionally, I like the weapons they have within this game. While there's not a huge variety of them, and they could definitely use more, what they have is nice. There's everything from ARs to SMGs, snipers, shotguns, pistols, and more. Personally, my favorite thing to use is the snipers, but I'll talk about that more later when I talk about the gunplay. I will say the melee weapons are really cool too, as there's a lot of different ones you could use. Furthermore, I really like the majority of the maps within this game. Sure, there's one or two of them that are alright, but most of them are designed really well, and for the most part, if you could see it on the map, then you could get on it. That means you could get on top of most of the rooftops, with the exception of a few of them that are too tall. I love this as you're able to make the map your own little playground. I also like the zip lines that are on most of the maps. You are able to ride them across the map, and you could easily get on and off of them. So if you want to jump off of it to go fight someone, you're able to quickly do that. Honestly, the maps are just fun to play on, and there's a good amount of them too. Likewise, I like the attachment system they have in the game. It's very similar to the newer Call of Duty's attachment system, like for example in MW3. You're able to equip 5 attachments on your weapon, and there's a lot of them to choose from. There's optics, muzzles, stocks, grips, barrels, and more. Also, what's really cool is the attachments you unlock are shared across all weapons. So for example, if you want to get a new grip on your M4, you're able to now use that same grip on everything else without having to unlock it for those other weapons. The only thing I think they should change is all the optics in the game, including red dot sights, lower your ADS speed, which shouldn't be the case as it makes people not want to run optics as much. Other than that though, the attachments are good. Moreover, the equipment is pretty cool within the game. There's regular grenades, impact grenades, throwing knives, throwing axes, throwing darts, and more. I like being able to take out the enemy with things like the throwing darts, as they're fun to use. The only thing I would say they should add is some tacticals like stun grenades, smoke grenades, etc., as I know there are people out there who would rather use those instead. They could even allow for the tacticals to be in their own category, so now you could carry both a piece of lethal and tactical equipment. Moving on, I really like the cosmetics within the game, as well as how cheap the cosmetics are. You'd think for a free-to-play game, the cosmetics would be really expensive, as that's how they make their money. However, the cosmetics are cheap when compared to a game like COD. In COD, most of the bundles are priced at $20 or even more, while in Combat Master, most of the bundles are priced under $10, and they come with a lot of stuff too. They usually have an operator skin, multiple weapon blueprints, a skin for your melee weapon, an emblem, and double XP tokens. You get all of that for under $10, which is insane. What's even more insane is sometimes they give you special deals where they combine two bundles together but sell it for the price of one. So now you're getting two jam-packed bundles for under $10. It's all really cool stuff too. Like the operator skins are actually cool looking, the blueprints look good and give you useful attachments for all your weapons, the melee skins are usually pretty awesome, and the emblems are animated most of the time. I almost forgot to mention that you get various watches and bracelets out of the bundles as well, so you're able to bling out your wrist, which is awesome. The only cosmetic that they're missing is weapon charms, which I hope they add at some point. Finally, the last things that I think are good about Combat Master is, as I mentioned, it's completely free to play, and it's cross-play between PC and mobile devices. So not only can you play the game for completely free, but you could play it at home or on the go as well if you wanted to. Also, I think it's worth mentioning that there's no skill-based matchmaking at all in this game, which I personally like, as you don't have to be trying your absolute hardest the whole time you play. You're able to simply play the game more casually and just have fun playing it. This is actually huge in my opinion, as you are given the freedom to play how you want to play and use what you want to use, unlike in recent COD games that clearly have skill-based matchmaking in it, which ruins the experience because you're constantly having to try your hardest and use the meta weapons. Okay, so now that I've talked about all the good things that Combat Master has to offer, it's now time to talk about all the alright things about this game. These are things that aren't necessarily the worst, but aren't necessarily the best either. Firstly, there's the perks they have in the game. Honestly, there's not a lot of them in the game, as there's maybe 2 or 3 per category, which is not a lot. There's 3 categories of perks just like in COD. You have perk 1, 2, and 3. But the big difference between COD's perks and Combat Master's perks is COD has 6 or more perks in a single category. Also within Combat Master, most of the perks suck other than a select few that are broken. For example, there's a perk that makes your crouch and zipline speed faster, which is pretty useless in my opinion. But then there's a perk that gives you literal wall hacks for a few seconds when you kill an enemy. Obviously, you're going to take the perk that gives you wall hacks over a perk that gives you more crouch and zipline speed. So they need to not only add more perks, but balance them too. That way something like the wall hacks perk isn't too OP. Additionally, there needs to be more game modes within Combat Master, as there's not that many offered. As of now, there's TDM, Free-for-all, Capture the Flag, S&D, Arms Race, Demon Slayer, and a game mode called Combat Master. Now, I will give credit where it's due. All these game modes are fun to play, and they even offer multiple versions of them, such as Premier, Masters, and Hardcore. Premier is similar to a ranked game mode, Masters is like the standard game mode, and Hardcore is obviously just Hardcore. While I do appreciate what there is, there could be a few more added that would make the game that much better, like Domination, Hardpoint, and Kill Confirmed. These game modes are solid core game modes that I think everyone would love to play. Furthermore, there needs to be way more kill streaks offered because there's only a few available to use. Don't get me wrong, what is available is cool, like a Juggernog or even a nuke that is similar to the OG MW2 nuke that will end the match if you get it. But they definitely need to add more, as people are barely able to get what's available now, so it would help the game out a lot if they add more kill streaks, especially low level ones, so that everyone can have something they're able to get. Likewise, the gunplay could use a little bit of work. Unfortunately, a lot of the guns have way too much recoil. Most of it is visual recoil too, so there's not a lot you could do about it other than use attachments to try to mitigate it. I don't think arcade shooters should have a lot of recoil on their weapons, as the whole point of an arcade shooter is for their weapons to feel easier to use instead of feeling realistic at all, so that it's easier to just hop in and play. People want easy to pick up and use stuff in arcade shooters, as there should be more of a focus on just having fun, compared to a tactical shooter which has much harder to use stuff, as it requires you to learn things like recoil patterns. But it's for good reason, as those games are more competitive most of the time. Combat Master is far from being super competitive though, so they need to dial back the recoil on most weapons. With the exception of snipers though, because I think snipers are really good to use and are super fun, so they could stay the same. Moreover, most of the matches you play for pretty much all the game modes only last between 2 to 3 minutes. Now this can be seen as a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you view it. The reason being is because some would say the short matches allow for you to be able to play more matches if you're only able to play for an hour or two a day, while others would say that the short matches limit the amount of kills you're able to get in a given match, so you're unable to get crazy high kill games like you could in COD. So really, I'll leave this one up to you to decide how you feel about it. Finally, the last thing that is alright about Combat Master is the spawns. How they work is you and your team spawn on one side of the map, and the enemy team spawns on the other side of the map, which is nice, but the thing is the spawns are super sticky. So even if you're in the enemy spawn, they still spawn there instead of flipping, which can cause major spawn trapping. Luckily, there is spawn protection, where you are immune for a few seconds when you first spawn in, so that does help a little bit. But it could also cause for you to easily get killed if you're in the enemy spawn and someone spawns right next to you, as you're unable to kill them at first, but they're able to kill you. So in a way, it's like a double-edged sword. Alright, now that I've talked about both the good and alright things about Combat Master, it's time to talk about all the bad things about this game. These are things that are really hurting the game's experience, so if possible, they need to be fixed ASAP. Firstly, both the graphics and animations suck in this game. Now I understand that this game is also a mobile game, and since it's crossplay between PC and mobile devices, it's not going to be the best looking game in the world. However, the developers could have at least increased the graphics quality for the PC version of the game, because it straight up looks like they just took the mobile version of the game and ported it right onto the PC without doing any changes to the quality. You can legitimately tell that this game started as a mobile game because they successfully made the PC version look like a spitting image of the mobile version. So if you're someone who really likes realistic and detailed graphics, then this game is not for you. I will say not all the animations are terrible though. While most of them look like something you'd see on a mobile device, there are some that are kinda cool, like some of the reload animations and some of the animations for the melee weapons. Additionally, this game barely receives any updates to it. Even though it's a live service game, the developers don't get a new update out for it for months at a time. So that means you're going a few months with no changes to the game at all. So if you wanted new content put into the game, or balance changes done to it, or even just some new bundles in the store to buy, then you're out of luck for a few months, as the developers will just go randomly silent, like they went into hibernation or something. Now given I don't know the size of the development team, so maybe it's due to having a really small team working on the game, but at very least they could give us small updates on what they're working on while we wait for the update. Furthermore, this game does unfortunately have a smaller sized player base. I will say this really hasn't affected my experience that much though, as I'm usually able to find matches pretty quickly, and I'm able to play with different people most of the time. However, that's with crossplay on, so most lobbies will be a mix of both PC players and mobile players. This isn't a big issue to me at all, but I know some people would rather just play with people on the platform they're on. While I don't know for sure, I'm assuming the majority of the player base is mobile players, so if you just want to play with only PC players, then you might have some trouble finding lobbies at certain times, and you might play with a lot of the same people because this game isn't huge on PC. Likewise, I don't like how when you start a match, you're unable to choose your class right away. Instead, you're just automatically given your first class, so you then have to go and change your class if you want a different one. The thing is, you won't just automatically switch to that class you chose, so you're stuck using your first class until you die. Then you'll finally be given your chosen class. So for example, if I want to use my M4, I can't just do that, as I have to start with my sniper first. Moreover, it takes way too long to level up in this game, not only for your standard level, but for your battle pass level as well. You could play for several hours and only go up maybe 3 or 4 levels in that time. They need to increase the amount of XP you get towards both your standard level and your battle pass level immediately, because I can't stand how slow it is. I can get the most kills in the lobby every match and even get a few nukes, and I still won't level up after an hour of playing. It's ridiculous. Finally, the last thing that is bad about Combat Master is you only have 5 creator class slots, or as they call it, weapon sets, available. There's no way of being able to even unlock or buy more, so there's really nothing you could do about it. If you want to try out a new gun, you are forced to have to get rid of one of your already customized weapons, and there's no way to save your weapon attachment setups, so you better remember it or take a picture of it if you want to know what you used on that weapon. At very least, they need to give us another 5 weapon sets, so we have 10 in total that we could use. It would also be nice if we were able to make a custom blueprint for our weapons, like in COD, so we don't have to remember what we ran on a certain weapon. In conclusion, Combat Master definitely is not going to be a game for everyone. Although it has a lot of good things about it, like the movement, weapons, maps, cosmetics, and more, there's also a few alright things about it, like the perks, the game modes, the gunplay, and more. Then there's unfortunately some bad things about the game, like the graphics and animations, the lack of updates, the leveling up being really slow, and more. At the end of the day, I will say this game is most definitely fun to play, even with its issues. While the game can definitely use a lot of work, there's no denying that if you like games like Call of Duty, and you're willing to put up with the issues Combat Master has, then you might actually enjoy this game. It's definitely not going to be the next huge game that everyone will play, and it's definitely not anything revolutionary or groundbreaking. This is not a game you'll find consistently sitting on top of the Steam charts, or will have 100,000 plus players the majority of the time. However, as I said, the game is definitely fun to play in my opinion. So to answer the question, should you play Combat Master, I think you definitely should give the game a try, as there's really nothing to lose, seeing how it's free to play. I don't think this is a game that will turn into your main game of choice, but it's at least something you could play here and there when you're tired of playing Call of Duty or whatever other game you're mainly playing. Anyhow, that's it for me. What are your thoughts on Combat Master? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful at all, then please give the video a like. And if you want more content like this, then please subscribe. Have a great day.